I wanted to get advice from the older dentist here who went through the high inflation during the 1980s. How did it affect your practice? Is there anything you would have done differently? Just any insights? That's a really good question. And right now, I'm 59. I am not aware of any personal friends that I have that are under 60 that even know a thing about inflation because they didn't see it. So I was born in 62. When I was 10, my dad bought Sonic. He hired me and my best friend, John Lease, on Sunday, who we went through all St. Pat's, Bishop Carroll High School, UMKC Dental. He's now an endodontist out in LA. And our job on Sunday was to take a razor blade and scrape off the prices that we were going to change and put on the little stickers to the new price, because you changed them every week. And finally, Paul, when Jimmy Carter took office, he brought in Paul Volcker from the New York Fed, and he goes, "What the hell's going on?" And he says, "Why does it go up and down, up and down, up and down?" He says, "Because no one will do what they have to do, and that is you'll have to raise interest rates to 20%. It'll put us in the deepest recession, but it'll knock out the inflation." And Jimmy Carter said, "Well, what's best for the country?" And he said to do it, and Jimmy did it, and his whole Democratic Congress said, "Thanks, you just cost us the next election." And then Reagan came in afterwards, and they all blamed the bad economy on on Carter, and Carter did the right thing, and of course everybody spins it wrong, but that guy took a bullet in his ego, his heart, and his soul. But inflation is nasty. And let me just explain money first. If you have one human on Earth, and their total productivity in a year is to make one bottle of water, and there's $1 in circulation. It could have been a seashell, could have been a tobacco leaf, could have been a bead, whatever it was. $1 total productivity is one bottle of water, one person. Bottle of water costs $1. You still only have one person. They still only made one bottle of water, but some dumbass government decided to print another dollar. Now there's $2 laying out there, so this thing costs $2. So, there was no debt when I got out of high school in 1980, and then Ronald Reagan decided he was going to cut taxes and raise spending and left us with $1 trillion that year, and then it was $1 trillion the next. Now it's $30 trillion, and this pandemic was crazy because they thought, well, you don't need to tax money, just print money. The COVID response, Trump-Biden welfare response program was $5 trillion. I don't care if it's right or wrong, but during World War II, when they needed to raise money, they went out and sold you bonds. So you actually bought those bonds in cash, war bonds, with a 5%. So every dollar you gave them, you would get a nickel back each year in perpetuity till you sold the bond. And that's not what they did. They didn't sit there and say, wow, we need to give out $5 trillion of welfare. We're going to raise the top line tax rate on anybody who made over, say, $1 million a year, $10 million a year, $50 million a year, and we need to raise a bunch of taxes and transfer that. No, they didn't do any of that shit. They just printed it. And now that money is raining down, along with the pandemic, screwed up all the supply chains, along with the pandemic, starting geopolitical deals, because it started in Wuhan and China wants Taiwan, and Russia wants Ukraine. So you have the perfect storm. You have cycles and business cycles. Remember, I was born in 62. That was the year of the flash crash. So I was actually born in a bad year. I graduated from high school in 80, interest rates 20.5%. When I bought my first home, after dental school, I thought I did good because the seller had financed it at 14.5%, and I got it financed at 12.5%, and you guys are doing your mortgage at 3%. And oh my God! And then there was the Black Monday in '87 after I graduated. There was Y2K. There was Lehman Brothers, and now so bubbles are common. And the business cycle, that's why Schumpeter got a Nobel Prize in economics, the Austrian economist, that there's a business cycle. And why? Because humans make all the decisions. And if I see my friend Julie buys an Airbnb and she's making bank, and then her friend Chris saw that, and so he bought an Airbnb. Well, now I'm not even looking at the math. I'm just thinking, I don't want to miss out. Fear of missing out. FOMO, we're a social animal. So everybody starts jumping into Airbnbs. The prices go up, and finally the prices are so high, the customers aren't supporting it, and it's a bubble. And some of these bubbles are extremely regular, like the agriculture bubble is like a 7-year hard cycle. Well, since I've been alive, The cycles have been somewhere between 7 and 14 years, and the last one, Lehman's Day, was 2008, and this is 2022. So I mean, we're 16 years overdue. The assets are over twice, and that was Warren Buffett. And just by luck, I went to Creighton, which is in Omaha, and the Oracle Omaha is Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and Warren would come over and teach at our business school, and he taught us the Buffett Index. And he says, okay, within a country like the United States, the GDP, let's say the GDP is $1, just for easy math. And when the value of all the publicly traded stocks, think of the Wilshire 5,000 or all the publicly traded stocks, they should be about 70% of the GDP. Number one, only 15% of Americans work for publicly traded companies. But when they get over the GDP and start going up, you know it's going to come back down. Well, some people say, well, why? Well, it's simple math. I mean, do you really think it can keep going and going and going and going? Eventually, the profit dollars would be greater than the whole economy. So as a rule of thumb, if it mathematically can't add up, it's not going to happen. So it's going to trend towards the mean. Well, now you had the Buffett Index go to 2 times over. First, it hit the United States, and in 1999, Warren Buffett quit buying anything. He's sitting on a war chest of $145 billion in cash. And then you had the pandemic, and now we had the geopolitical tensions, the supply chain issues, and now you got Europe doing the war thing again. I mean, this is just brutal times. But here's what scares me about inflation. When Warren Buffett was at our school in 1980, and I think I saw him get this question asked in 80, 81, 82, and 83. I went there 3 years. And they'd say, well, you know, Creighton is known for, they got the best law school, med school, dental school, and business school. They said, well, Warren, what do you think about being a dentist versus a physician versus a lawyer? And you know what his advice says? He says, well, I definitely wouldn't go to med school or dental school because you want a low-cost business to get into. You never want a low capital intensive business. Like say I'm Geico and I'm selling insurance and I need to sell more. If I just hire another employee, all I need is a cubicle. But you bring in another dentist, you need a $25,000 operatory, x-ray machines, healthcare is the most capital intensive. And he said, never go into a capital intensive business. And number two, never go into a business where someone else sets your prices. You have to have the power to price, because in inflation, if I own my own milk cow, and she makes me a gallon of milk every day, and I go sell that for $1. And then inflation comes along, and everything, the inputs to this cow, the land, the feed, the taxes, everything doubles, and it goes to $2. Well, I'm the milkman. I just raised my price to $2. But not you, Doc. You Delta already tells you your fee. So you're charging $1, and then inflation's going up, and they're holding their price at $1. And I notice all the insurance companies are starting to notice that they're going to give fee increases. And I see these fee increases, and they're little, and they may be significant or not, but I'm telling you what. When inflation is making all the inputs of your lab, labor, supplies, rent, electricity, everything you buy is going more, and your insurance fees are set. And then I got to ask you how much money, when I go in there and I say, okay, your hygienist just did a cleaning exam and x-ray. Did you make $5.35 after taxes, or did you lose $12? They never know their math. And you rely on some CPA who's doing restaurants, chiropractors, dry cleaners. And that is when I hired my president, my current company president. I hired her as a bookkeeper at $12 an hour. And by the way, every receptionist I've ever hired, where I just hired a bookkeeper with no dental experience, I can train them all the dental in a month or two. But I can get the woman with 20 years experience in a dental office, and you still can't teach her accounting. Same thing with assistants. The only assistant I ever hired who was a bookkeeper first, I put her in front of sundries. Every month my sundries are 4%. When I had people with 20, 30 years experience, it's 4% this month, 8% next, then 2, then 6, then 9, and it's like, my God, there's no steady Eddie. So I always I would always tell everybody, I would start with, it's only people, time, and money. I get a people that's a bookkeeper, because if you don't know accounting, and here's another thing, when someone comes in for an interview, just hand them their own bank statement. Can you reconcile your own bank statement from Chase? No, they don't even know what you're talking about. They just, when they run out of money, they get an overdraft and put more money in, and then they go in and try to get a raise at their office because they think if they just keep getting raises, it'll compensate for the fact that they just spend money hand over fist and have no idea what they're doing. So this inflation thing is ugly. And to tell you where my money's mouth are, I'm not a doom and gloomer because I graduated high school in 80, 87, graduated dental school, Black Monday, lived through Y2K, lived through Lehman's. I don't give a rat's ass. I'm not scared. It's a business cycle. Humans do things regularly. And, but I've seen this movie 4 times, and I've seen it so clearly that I sold all my real estate. I'm sitting on a ton of cash. I liquidate everything because last time Taco Bell went from $7 to $1, and I looked at it, and then I finally bought 86 grand with it, and it only took like 3 or 4 months to get back to 7. And then I sat there and thought, everybody else think, oh man, you made $500,000 in 90 days. That's clean and mean. It's like, no. Why the hell did I only put 86,000? Why am I living in $1 million house and have all this shit and only put 86,000 there? So this time, rule number 2 on stock. So I moved all the cash. So I'm not giving financial advice, and I don't care who you listen to and if you believe in diversification because some idiot told you to buy an index fund. Look, man, there's 500 stocks. If you can't find one nasty turd to take out of 500, you shouldn't even be investing. You should just put the money in a mattress under your bed. I mean, shit, a third of those stocks have never even made $1 in profit. Look at the SPACs. Look at all these high-tech firms. Remember from 94 to 2000, you're like, well, how much earnings did you make? Oh, well, we got 100 clicks. We got 100 shares. I'm sorry, I've never gone to the IHOP and bought breakfast with clicks and shares. But back to money. Did you make any money? Oh, we had 1 million views on Tuesday. We're not talking views. We're talking money. I gave you $1. Did it make any money? And and then Warren Buffett says that nobody. Charlie Munger says nobody would be smart enough to hold 5 stocks, to know 5 companies. But my other deal is I wouldn't buy a stock if it's not on Warren Buffett's and Charlie Munger's list. So the easiest one to buy is just Berkshire Hathaway. And where's my stocks? There it is, Berkshire Hathaway. That's the golden rule. But then when you mine down in Berkshire Hathaway, my other deal is, so you're not buying, this is what I get all the time from dentists say, oh, I bought SFE at $1 and it went to $2. You think I should buy or sell? I'll say, well, what do they do? And you don't know. And I'm just like, unbelievable. You're asking me a question about a company to invest in. You don't even know what they make. I mean, it's unbelievable. So number 1, are you currently picking this stock with your own dollar? Look at every stock I own. Berkshire Hathaway, that's just the easy no-brainer. But Apple, this is an iPhone. Alphabet, Google, and YouTube. My Dentistry Uncensored's on YouTube. I love YouTube. Bank of America. I know a lot of people call it Skank of America, and I agree with that, with the customer service, but it is a good stock. American Express, Amazon, Coca-Cola. You say, you're a dentist. How can you morally invest in Coca-Cola? Same reason Warren just picked up $5 billion in Chevron. All these index funds saying, oh, we're morally righteous, so we won't invest in oil, and we're divesting out of carbon because we're good people. Yeah, and they flew to that convention in their private jet that burns $10,000 an hour in kerosene and drive an SUV. Everybody I know that will not do an index fund that has petroleum in it drove a car to work today and back. So monkeys are crazy. I'm convinced after 59 years, I'm serious when I say this, I think I'm the only normal guy on earth. I'm probably the normalest, can I say the F word?
I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm the normalest fucker you're ever going to meet. And if you drive an SUV to your Green Party convention, I hope they pass out edibles or acid at the deal. But Coca-Cola, hell, they pay a 4%. Look at Kraft Heinz. Kroger, Costco, Walmart, Home Depot, Verizon, Microsoft, Cisco, and my only dental stocks are Align Technology and Henry Schein. I like the Daily Journal just for deal. But see, that's 20 stocks. But I'm not going to buy 20 stocks at the bottom. I don't even know where the bottom is. But when I wake up someday and any of my 20 stocks are 50 to 75% off, because I remember Amazon after Y2K dropped 95% for 100 days. And Tesla's trading at 1,500 times earnings. And a lot of people say, well, that's the new world. No, it's not. 6 to 8 times earnings on EBITDA to buy a dental office or a stock. Go back into another model. Like, I'm Irish, I'm 100% Irish. During the potato famine, if you couldn't afford to leave and go to Argentina, United States, indentured servant businessmen would say, hey, Chris and Julie, I'll move you to where, you know how many potatoes it takes to kill an Irishman? None. Starved to death. And I'll say, I'll tell you what, I'll move you to Georgia, but you have to work for me 6 to 8 years free. Everybody took that deal. But now the stock market's 32 times price earnings. Okay, well, will you work? I'll move you over here, but you got to work 32 years for free. You're like, shit, I might as well just die here. No one's even living 32 years. Right now, Tesla's trading at a 1,500 times price earnings. That means if you bought it at the fall of the Roman Empire, you still haven't got your money back. And every one of those believers, you'll never change your mind. They start telling you Elon Musk walks on water and raises people. And then whatever, it's great. But would I rather be sitting on my $1 million McMansion? What if Tesla, during the next crash, what if the stock drops 95% for a month? And you redeployed your house into Tesla or Amazon down 95%. I've missed that opportunity 4 times. The first 2 times in 80 and 87, I wasn't smart enough to know. But then I went back to B school, got my MBA in 98, 99, and the Y2K crash was 2000. And all I remember is all my economics professors walking me through this bubble as it was forming in real time. And I thought, are they right or wrong? I mean, they're so smart. Why are they just teachers at ASU? Oh my God, were they right? And then they were right again during the Lehman's Day. So there's a lot of math to this stuff. So what I don't like about inflation is this. If you're a capital intensive business and someone else is setting your fees, you're screwed. And then a lot of people, they don't want to open up a dental office because they think, well, it's safer, the economies and everything. I think I'm just going to go get a safe job. Okay, so you go get a job at a DSO that has 1,000 dentists. And then the economy contracts and their revenue drops in half. Do you think they're going to go borrow money to keep paying you to stay on? How long do you think it'll take them to fire you? They're going to throw you away in an hour. You're disposable overhead trash to these guys. But if you own your own dental office and times are tough, you might extend your hours. You might let go of your assistant. You might just sit in there with your wife answering the phone and your 18-year-old son being your dental assistant. But and let me tell you another word about politics, which I hate talking politics, because when it comes to politics and religion, after the age of 25, no, I've never seen anyone change their mind. So I'm talking right now to people between they just got their car keys and they're 26. That's about the only decade they can think through these things that they drink the Kool-Aid on, and that is where was I going to go with that?
Politics?
If I go around the world and I ask everybody what is a sine, cosine, and tangent in geometry, I get the exact decisions. You go around the world, ask a political term like socialism, every country's got a different definition, and then you go back, it meant something different 50 years ago, 100 years. There's no scientific terms in politics. There's just not, because it's all just hormonal and whatever. But the bottom line is, you know where the word socialism actually originated from? It actually originated in Europe. It was standard practice that the king and the noble landlords would come by and steal half your crop and say it was taxes. And the people just, they were surrendered, they were outnumbered, they put up with that. But when the king came back and said, oh, by the way, this is our land, so now I'm taking the land back and I'm going to take half your stuff, that's when they drew blood and fought. And the word socialism means I own my means of production. You're a dentist. Did you go to 8 years of school to be someone's employee? I don't remember you talking about that in dental school. I never remember in dental school saying, yeah, I want to be a dentist so I can be someone else's bitch. I just want to live under their thumb and be told what to do, what to say. No, I never heard any of that stuff. And then when they graduate from dental school and they go get a job at a DSO, why do they all quit at the end of the year? How come when they're 5 years out of school, they work for 5 different different group practice, multi-locations. Dude, you're complicated. You're a dentist. You have 8 years of college. Dentists, physicians, and lawyers are the worst employees in the world because they're too damn smart, they're too damn educated, and there's only 3 ways you can do dentistry. The right way, the wrong way, and the way you believe it should be done. And no one's ever going to change your mind, and I love you for it. I love you. By God, you're never going to be happy working for someone else. I mean, so just own your means of production. It's not safe to be in some job working for a DSO that's highly leveraged. I mean, did you see that first correction in the when the pandemic came out in March and the stock market fell? You saw some of those DSO captains all relax because they had already sold out. They were just the chairman and they were just, they already had their liquidity event. But the ones that were highly leveraged, man, they were coughing up blood clots. This is a very highly leveraged space. And during a financial contraction and the economy goes out to sea, you'll get to see all the DSO CEOs who are swimming without any trunks on. And it's a great, I love it because markets segment about 50 different ways. Look at housing. I could live in a mansion, 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, an apartment, a studio. I could live in a van down by the river like Chris does. I mean, it's going to differentiate all over the board. Look at cars. I can have a private jet, a Rolls Royce, a Ferrari, a Ford Escort, all the way used car, all the way down to taking the bus. I mean, my God. So yeah, I love the fact that DSOs are out there. They employ jobs. When I got out of school, the only people that hired dentists straight out of school were the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Now the DSOs do it. I love them for that. I love them for the fact that in Phoenix, Arizona, there was, if you broke your tooth on a Sunday, you could find the tooth fairy 3 times before you found a dental office open. And now with DSOs, they're open 7 to 7 days a week. We know in America, 8% of all emergency room patients are odontogenic in origin because the real doctors are in the hospitals working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while the wannabe doctors, dentists, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and then they're unlisted at the country club. And during a contraction, you get really, really hungry. Shit, you may do 7 to 7, 7 days a week out of your own office with just 2 family members as your employees if you own your means of production. So at this point, I don't even know what question I'm answering, so I'll just go to the next one.